And now for the final part of the main playthrough. I plan to show off some level mods after this, though. Just for fun. And speaking of fun, so is this level. It has less of the wheel gimmick and more of, well, there's these portals, you see. And we're not at them yet, obviously, but they're gonna be a pretty big part of this level. During the credits, someone is credited as Alex the Kid Silverstone. I guess that's like little in-jokes there. Obviously. But yeah, these portals. You go through them a lot in this zone, or rather in just this act. And they're how you progress, obviously. I was expecting this act to be like a maze where I wasn't really sure where to go, but it turns out it wasn't that big of a deal. There were a few annoying puzzle sections, but it wasn't really that bad. There are these fans that you could barely see the wind in them. They just kind of catch me off guard, telling me that at the very least with that fun spring section, it's kind of intuitive what to do because it always appears not directly below you, so you always have to move to land on the spring. But yeah, there will be there's definitely more speed sections in this act, which is pretty fun. And I kind of like how there's more hidden springs too, and generally the hidden springs are used to make things faster, like they're sideways springs for speed sections. Although they really shouldn't force you to use hidden vertical springs to progress, because occasionally the level isn't going to naturally lead you into it, as you'll see. The trouble I'm running into here is the wheels automatically suck you into them and force you to use them to progress even 2 feet to the right or left or up or whatever. It just feels arbitrary, like, please use our wonderful wheel gimmick! Please! Like, it's just kind of forced. Like, it really looks like you should be able to just walk around the wheels just fine. But yeah, this seems to lead you in a circle, but it's pretty easy to figure out, okay, I haven't gone this way, so I should probably do that. It's kind of a cramped looking section, the level's not really Sonic-y. This kind of reminds me of the standing around in blocks sections of Spring Yard Zone. At least it feels more exciting that way. At least it feels more exciting because it's not giant blocks that are moving really slowly. See, the electricity activated just as I was sent up to it. That just doesn't feel fair. That was my fault though. You really have to be careful about positioning yourself. It's kind of funny that rather than crushing you, the gears will just hurt you, like in Sonic Generations. Like, I expected on Sonic Generations because it's a 3D Sonic game, so of course it's going to be a little easier, but with the classic Sonic games, you really expect to just get crushed. But yeah, you gotta hold right on the wheels to make sure you're in the right positions, because otherwise, like, this zone requires mastery of these wheels. Unfortunately, they appear so much that you're going to get good at them. If Sonic is the one piloting the tornado instead of Tails, he wears the Sonic 1 goggles that went unused, like the ones that were associated with being underwater. So that's a neat callback. And by the way, the collector's card in the collector's edition of this game contains faint writing at the bottom that reads, "Fun is infinite." That's a reference to an infamous message in Sonic CD that plays when attempting to play a pirated version of it. The game's sound effects are apparently of higher quality than the original sometimes. I didn't really notice that though. And yeah, like that's why this level might seem to be a maze, because it keeps seeming to send you back to the same room that you were just in. But I don't know, naturally leads me to the next section of the level, it's not really that big of a deal to me. Of course, then you start falling into portal goop that actually you shouldn't go into because it warps you back to places you've already been. I really like this. Like this is pretty cool. Like they spin around, so you really gotta time jumping off them right. And this is the part of the level where it really feels like you gotta get the platforming exactly right or you'll fall into the goop. So it's like having a bottomless pit without having a bottomless pit and thus making fans bitch about challenge. Because obviously classic Sonic games are not known for having bottomless pits. Which I guess makes sense with the alternate routes. They don't want to punish you for exploring. Like, there's a reason they don't have bottomless pits in Metroidvanias. Oh yeah, this was a pretty memorable part of the stage. Tails keeps stealing the platform on me, so it's more annoying than I expect to land on the swinging platform. But eventually I managed to get on it. See, it was a nice novelty bringing back the Knuckles Chaos car the first time, but after a while it starts to just feel like a waste of time. Like, especially since you just stop on it and you don't immediately teleport right away. Like, what is it doing? Is it teleporting you? Is it going in and out of the background? Like, I guess it's not in 2D. I guess it's not restricted to 2D like Sonic is. Mania footage actually displays on the arcade machine item in the game 2 Point Hospital, and it shows Flying Battery Zone. Naturally, since the game is actually made by Sega, so they would want to advertise this game, although I don't see the point since everyone would buy it. I mean, this game obviously did well in sales, it was a classic Sonic throwback, and everyone who's not a Sonic fan at least loves the classic game, so they obviously know about that. It'd make more sense for them to advertise Forces, if anything. But yeah, this is another puzzle section where you really get stuck. Because it turns out that you have to hit a hidden spring that's completely invisible, and there's no way you could possibly know that it's there other than blatant trial and error. I thought I was being clever by flying with Tails, but it turns out that I wasn't. Yeah, they shouldn't. Like, I was thinking there, oh yeah, Sonic Lost World was a great game. People loved having to rely on hidden springs to progress with the level. Let's just do that again. Like, it just doesn't seem like a well-designed challenge when it's literally impossible to do it on the first try unless you're very lucky. How would you possibly think to know to get there? It's not that big of a deal though. Like, this level was really not a big deal to me at all. This game in general was not a big deal to me at all. I mean, it was fun, as in, but it wasn't hard. I was expecting it to be harder than it was. Instead, I barely died, and even the boss fights, which tended to suck when they tried too hard to be creative, I didn't really die multiple times on them. Which is a compliment, because I like when Sonic games are easy. Like when they just focus on being fun, but generally still engaging. Like you have to hold down during speed sections to maximize your speed, pull in the right directions, and of course you have these previous two zones which are challenging. But yeah, he's inexplicably invincible when he's flashing red for some reason. At least they should have a force field around him, but they don't even seem to do that, so it's just arbitrary. And it's like by the time, like I'm so busy trying to jump into him to attack him, that by the time he summons by the time they warn you about the falling missiles, I'm already in the way of them and get hit by them. Unintuitively enough, you have to get grabbed by the hands to progress, and get your time wasted with these guys. But yeah, the reason I'm constantly jumping into him, even though he's invincible, is because you never know when he's gonna instantaneously, suddenly go not invincible. So I want to be on him when that happens, which means constantly wasting my time attacking him. And obviously, the electricity will hurt you, But if you have an electric shield, you'll be fine. But yeah, like I heard people were having trouble with the hands because it doesn't seem intuitive that you have to get grabbed by the hands to progress. But you do. I thought for sure that I was surrounded on both sides by a bottomless pit here. And that if I got hit by the platforms that were sent out at me, which you can land on, then you would fall into a pit, but instead you fall onto the floor. That's not good game design to make you panic like that. Like, the camera should have better shown you that you weren't in mortal danger. I mean, I guess I should have known better, because this game doesn't really like having pits, but yeah. I don't really see the point of having the screen turn white if you press a certain button in debug mode. It seems really pointless. I tried to get all the special stages here, but no! Not only does it not give me 50 rings, but it doesn't even do anything. I mean, I guess this is a game that arbitrarily doesn't let you collect any special. Doesn't get you. I guess it doesn't have any special stages in the zone, and so it's impossible to go into a special stage here. But I'm gonna find out that it's even worse than that. But yeah, obviously I don't really care. I'm gonna cheese this boss because I don't really have the patience to play through the entire boss fight all over again, just to risk dying for not being able to get my rings back all over again. I don't really have much patience for that kind of stuff. And besides, I like to think of it as showing off mods. Because the only reason I'm able to activate debug mode that easily during a save file is because I have access to mods. Because in the actual game, what you have to do, you can't activate debug mode unless you're in that old school no save mode that people want to have for some reason. Seriously, I don't know why anyone would want that. I mean, what if you have to go, what if there's an emergency and you can't beat the game all in one sitting? Why would anyone want that? But yeah, I like that potentially, maybe if you're skilled enough, you can skip past all the hand grabbing you stuff. Like, that's nice. Like, they don't absolutely force you to not be able to keep hitting him until he dies. But yeah, obviously I got the bad ending because I only got 1 emerald on this file. They really don't want you to find any of the special stages, so you can't really blame me for getting this ending. They don't really make it easy or reasonable. I mean, in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which this game should really, like, pull more from, they would have it. You were pretty much guaranteed to have all the emeralds because you could actually find the special rings. Not in this game. And then the game crashed. Well, it's a good thing I decided to end the recording when the screen went black, because I thought the credits would appear, they would go on for a really long time, and I was recording for long enough, so I just thought, okay, let's end the recording. And I'm glad I did. What I wasn't glad about was learning that you can't actually go into a special stage from summoning a special stage ring in debug mode, which completely and utterly destroys the point. Well, actually, maybe you can. Well, no, I can't, because I showed off footage of trying to jump into the special stage ring and just getting 50 rings before I had my 100% completed save file replace my actual save file. So it decided to give me 50 rings as if I had all the emeralds, which I didn't. So what's the point of having that option in debug mode if you can't really use it? I was planning to do that to show off all the special stages, but I figured, nah. You know, like, I don't want to climb through every inch of Westopolis to kill all the aliens. I mean, climb through every inch of the levels to get all the special rings. And I don't even like the special stages anyways. Like, they're all the same thing. You run around the same course over and over again, trying to avoid falling into the holes. And you hope that you win several minutes later. I don't really see the point of showing them all off. Especially since there's not really that much to say about this game. I'm already out of trivia as it is. Yeah, this boss is basically as unplayable as I thought it would be. I mean, what do you expect? Super Sonic boss fights always suck. Always. Basically, there's an air dash that you can do where you press A when you're flying, and you can send yourself in any direction. The annoying thing is that you don't fly forever, like would make sense. Instead, you gradually fall to the floor and start standing on it pointlessly. The big problems with this boss fight are, one, that there aren't enough rings. They're just stray single rings, and though it's nice that they get attracted to you, like you have electric shield, it doesn't really matter because there's not enough of them. You can't break any meteors to get a whole bunch of rings. It just, like, where's the sense in that? And once you die, you die. And another huge problem is that you have to attack a very specific small part of the bosses to damage them. You can't hit their arms, which move all over the place, and so you're probably gonna get knocked back by them annoyingly. Like, how does that make sense? You're supersonic. You're moving at supersonic speed. No matter what part of it you're hitting, it should still damage it. I guess that would be too easy, but still, it's like they require precision with kind of slippery flight controls. When everyone's moving all over the place, it's just not fun. Like, this is probably the worst Sonic boss. This is probably the worst supersonic boss fight, like, ever in 2D Sonic. Although, the Rush Adventure one was worse because I literally couldn't beat it. At least the Rush boss fight, I managed to beat it after some grueling misery. I like that the time limit goes completely insane here to represent the fact that you're supposed to be in some time crazy dimension. Like, I love the aesthetic of this boss fight. Like, it's so much more interesting than flying and fighting in space for the umpteenth time. And apparently you can hear the fist bump Forces theme, like in a part of the electric guitar music for this boss fight. Which makes sense since for some stupid marketing reason, Mania is a tie into Forces, where apparently Mania Sonic jumps into a portal at the end of this game, although I don't really see that at the ending, and then he goes to Forces. I mean, like, I just hate the whole, oh, classic Sonic and modern Sonic are a separate dimension thing. Even though literally the entire series up to this point has been classic Sonic was just younger Sonic, and you had the comic Sonic aging from classic Sonic into modern Sonic. No, we're just gonna retcon all that. And there's rumors that they're retconning that too. It's like, it would have been fine if it was not the Phantom Ruby, but the Time Stone, and they were just sending you back in time, as well as sending you through space to get to other zones. It would have been fine if the Time Stone was the reason that you were going into that dimension for the Supersonic fight. But instead, it's the Phantom Ruby, and at least that's original. At least there's one thing original about this game. I mean, obviously a lot of the level design is original, and there are a few original boss concepts. Most of the original ones suck. But yeah, I like to think that this is finally solving the plot thread that was dropped at the end of Sonic 4 Episode 2. Like, this is essentially Sonic 4 Episode 3 as far as I'm concerned, complete with being able to play as Knuckles. Because at the end of Sonic 4 Episode 2, Little Planet was basically roboticized and stuff. But this solves that. So, yeah. This was a pretty good game. Like, I wasn't exactly surprised to find that out, but the thing about this game is, like, it's surprisingly easy. Like, I barely died. I heard horror stories about the creative boss fights, where it was unintuitive to deal with them, but even on those frustrating boss fights, I didn't die as much as I thought I would. I didn't constantly die, like, except for the boss of Act 2? Yeah, Act 2 of Hydro City Zone. I really hated that boss fight. I'm not sure how they expect you to do it, honestly. In Hydro City Act 1, it was like the shining example of a creative boss fight concept in this game. Because it's like, it's a cool concept, but how the fuck are you supposed to know what to do? But sometimes it's frustrating, because sometimes the game gets the boss fights right, and all you have to do is jump into it repeatedly and collect your ring, and there you go, you win. That's how Sonic boss fights have always been, and that's how they should be. So it's frustrating when they steer away from that just to try to be different. And speaking of different, like, it's really underwhelming to me and a lot of people that there's almost no originality in this game. Like, the levels are mostly just old levels. They have some nice remixes for the music, but although, to my surprise, the old levels were really the only good ones. I mean, Studiopolis was good, but then there was Mirage Saloon Zone, which was about the same in level design as like Sonic 2 or Sonic & Knuckles, where it's like Lava Reef Zone in this game. You just hold right and mash A and it's mind-numbingly boring with no challenge at all. And then like Press Garden is a Mario level. It's all blocky and you get frozen constantly, and it's just, I skipped it with absolutely no remorse when I was playing as Shadow. It's just not fun. Like, why are all the if all the original zones aside from Studiopolis suck, then that doesn't exactly give me hope for Mania 2. Like, I hope it's good, but it's just sad that all the best levels in the game, like Green Hill Zone and Chemical Plant Zone, Stardust Speedway, Hydro City, like even where even the water sections are fun, and even the final two levels, although they overdo it with the wheels, but they're at least engaging. Like, really the problem with Mania is the boss fights are the weak points of it. Although I can just skip that with spawning a goalpost with debug mode, so it's not a problem actually. And the other thing is that the level design kind of craps out at some point and just becomes boring Sonic 2 mind-numbingness. I just didn't like Mirage Saloon Zone and the other one. Like, especially that Sky Chase Zone. Some things just don't need to come back. And don't even get me started on the Mania Sonic sprite. There's a reason that they didn't make him that shade of blue originally. They don't want him to blend in with the sky. But yeah, it's a great game. Like, when I go back to Sonic 3, it actually really frustrates me recently, even for the first few zones. So, in comparison, I'd say this was definitely a better game. This is possibly my favorite 2D Sonic game now.